This is huge. Connor Bedard is shattering everybody's expectations in this preseason. Also, an ex-captain, a veteran in the NHL, gives Bedard high praise. We'll break all this down coming up on this episode of Hattrick HQ. But before we get into that, we just want to say that 82.2% of you guys aren't subscribed. So if you're looking for a home to daily NHL content, look no further. Go down below, hit that subscribe button, become a part of the Hattrick HQ community. But with that said, let's get right into the first topic of the video today, and that is Foligno's comments on Bedard. And Nick Foligno, ex-captain, was on the Mitts Off podcast recently, where he spoke on what his first conversation with Connor Bedard went like. He says he was so curious about what made our team in Boston so good and why we were so consistent. And Mark, I just think this is amazing because when you have such a young player at only 18 years of age, during your first conversation with a veteran like Foligno, he's not nervous or anything. He just cuts right to the chase, and he wants to get that mindset of how he can win and how they can do it consistently.
Yeah, that's the big thing. When we seen Bedard come in during the preseason, a lot of the time the media would ask him, "Why aren't you smiling enough?" And he said, "There's no point to smile if we don't win." This guy's 18. He's coming in. He looks like to be the future of the NHL. I think he's the type of caliber of player we can see him get up there with a guy like Crosby, McDavid, and just overall his performance is going to be insane for Chicago. But we're seeing this leadership too. He wants to win. This is not a year where he comes in, he's like, "I'm going to be flashy. We're going to do our thing and just kind of get butts in the seat." But he seems like he wants his team to compete. When you look at the power play, for example, you have a guy like Bedard, Taylor Hall, Seth Jones, and a guy like Corey Perry. On paper, this looks a little weird, but you have so much high offense. You have a guy like Bedard that's shown that he can pass, he can shoot, he can play at this NHL level already. So I think this is a sneaky power play. And in general, I don't know if Chicago is going to be a team that's going to push for the playoffs, but I think they're going to be a lot more competitive. The goalies are a little bit sketchy at times. The defense is a little rough. But overall, I think this team has the potential to not be a bottom feeder. And you never know. Once they start selling that deadline, they might get a little worse. But overall, I think they're going to be competitive. I don't think these are going to be games where they lose 5-0, 6-0. But just seeing this leadership, like I said, from Bedard, I think he's going to be a future captain for the Blackhawks. And I think they have an absolute gem in a guy like Nick Foligno said.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Obviously, Connor Bedard has shown everybody that he is the player that everybody expects him to be. And when you have behind the scenes him just evolving his hockey IQ and just his sense for the game off the ice and just getting himself, trying to get himself in that right mindset for the season to try to get this team to be consistently successful. Obviously, this roster hasn't been as big as Chicago Blackhawks rosters in the past, but I think when you have a guy like this, I think he just makes everybody around him better. And I know me and you have joked about it a couple times saying the retirement home Blackhawks with, Corey Perry and Taylor Hall and Foligno and all these guys. But these are all guys that are perfect for Bedard because I think he's such a young talent and he wants to involve his mind into just being a hockey expert. And we have all these guys around him who have been in the league for so long, a former captain in Foligno, and all these guys just giving him advice. I think it's only going to make him better with his mental game as well. And I know Foligno also said here about Bedard that after they lost in the preseason, he seemed right down, and he said like we should have won that game and everything. And he Foligno said usually other players don't like that, but he said I loved it because this guy wants to win, and this is just the kind of culture you want to have in every locker room in the NHL.
Yeah, it's like you said, Bedard has the perfect teammates around him. You have a guy like Taylor Hall who has won a Hart Trophy. He's been a great scorer in the NHL. Foligno, an ex-captain. Corey Perry, who has been on winning teams. We've seen him with Tampa. We've seen him with the Ducks, Dallas. These are guys that overall they've been in the league. They know what to do. They have this leadership. And it's always nice to, you get into this situation of we need to tank, we need to get more draft picks to get back into the glory days of like Taves, Kane, Keith, Seabrook. But you still need guys as mentors. You can't just put a bunch of 18-year-olds out there, let them develop together. You still need these guys that keep everyone's head on their bodies, just make sure everything's fine, and just help them grow into the NHL with leadership, if that's scoring, power play, just work ethic. I think Bedard's in a good situation with having guys like this around him.
Yeah, I definitely had to agree with you there. But we're going to get into our next topic of the video here, which is Bedard has been playing insane. And I know you guys have seen all the clips, or maybe some of you Blackhawks fans have been watching the games and seen how good Bedard has been playing. And this is the most points from the 2023 draft class here in this preseason. Zach Benson has 5, and as you see here, Connor Bedard also has 5. And we're going to take a look here. They say everyone knows Bedard has a wicked shot, but so far in the exhibition season, the Chicago Blackhawks rookies passing center of the ice and slick moves have stood out. And we're going to show you a clip here. Maybe you guys might have seen it on Twitter, but he just comes into the zone here and just does a beautiful behind the back deke just to get in all alone. Unfortunately, didn't bury that shot there, but it's just such a great opportunity. I know this is just one of the many clips that we've seen so far coming out of the Blackhawks preseason. But Mark, this guy looks like perfect. His game just looks amazing.
Yeah, that's the big thing. This guy's a human highlight reel. We've seen him in the juniors. We've seen him throughout his entire career. He's a guy that's going to sell tickets. He'll sell jerseys. And this is exactly what Chicago needs. You need these guys that are going to keep the fans invested, get them into the arena. We've seen his play. It's just going to keep developing year after year. I think he's a Rookie of the Year candidate this year. I think he's going to end up winning it. You might see a couple other rookies like Fantelli, where they might have a better record. They have a lot of guys around him that can score. But I think Bedard overall is going to be the best player to come out of this draft. I don't think that's too much of a hot take. I think once we found about this guy when he was 15, 16, I think everyone knew he would be a top prospect. But overall, yeah, his game looks incredible. His deking, his passing, his shots out of this world. I think he's going to have one of the best shots once it fully develops into the NHL. And I think he's a future captain, like I said. I think he's going to be your top line center this year. I think they'll run offenses through him and just let his game develop with these guys, like we said, the veterans, the young guys. Let the coaches get a feel for him. And I think he's 100% winning Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I definitely gotta agree with you there. There's definitely gonna be something in this trophy case at the end of the year, but we obviously know how special this guy's been. Like you said, ever since he's 16 years old, when he cracked that World Junior roster. Obviously, the World Junior roster is a hard roster to crack for a lot of young Canadians. Most of them only crack it when they're 18 or 17 or 18, and this guy came in at 16 and lit it up. And I just think he's going to be such a great talent in this league. Obviously, his game on the ice is crazy. I know he had like 150 plus points last year with the Regina Pats. But Mark, I know a lot of people have been debating this. I want to get your take on this. Do you think we could see Bedard be better than McDavid?
I don't think he's going to be better than McDavid. We see these generational players come up, in my opinion, and when Gretzky, then we had Crosby, Lemieux, guys like this, Ovi's in this conversation. But I think Bedard is just a little below the Connor McDavid level. I think McDavid's just one of these players that we barely see every 10, 20 years where he's just exceptional. He's incredible. He can score. I think Bedard is just one tier below this, and that's not a bad thing. I'd put him in a tier once he kind of develops with a guy like Austin Matthews, Nathan McKinnon, guys like this, which everyone wants, their franchise player. But as a generational player, I think I kind of put him between these franchise and generational, and he might break the generational, but it really depends on how his game goes, how the Blackhawks build his team, and ultimately how many cups he wins, because that's a big debate with this.
Well, obviously, McDavid's in a league of his own right now. I think we have 153 points last year. This guy's just amazing. One of the best players we've ever seen. And if we can see Bedard potentially get there, I do really think that this guy's game, and just hearing these comments about it from his teammates, seeing he wants to learn the game, he wants to learn how to be better, and I just think it's only going to be so much more successful for his career. And obviously, like you said, it all depends on how you build a team around him. But McDavid still don't have a cup, Mark.
That's true. That's a big thing there.
Yeah, but obviously Bedard's a special player, like we've said here. We're really excited to see him this year. I really do think he might hit 60 this year, just by looking at his play in the preseason, playing with these these veteran players. I think is really going to help his development, and I really do hope that Chicago can build the perfect team around him, because Chicago has another good couple chances at the cup coming up. Maybe not this year, but definitely maybe 5 years down the line. I really do think that he's just a special player. But we're going to get into our next topic here, and that is Bedard cracks the TSN top 50. And obviously, this might be a little bit of a hot take here. They say that Bedard is placed at the number 48 position on the TSN top 50. And Mark, that is above the names such as like Jacob Slavin. I just think it's crazy that this guy hasn't even played a regular season NHL game, and he's already in the top 50.
I think the big thing with this, if I was going to say the reason why they put him at 48, I think it's just for the pure just value, what he can bring, and just the potential. I mean, you look at Jacob Slavin, he's one of the best defensemen in the league. He's a guy that can shut it down on both ends for Carolina. So overall, I think he is a better player and a more valuable player when you're just putting him on the ice. Obviously, if they called one for one Slavin for Bedard, Carolina says yes, even before that conversation's done. But I think the thing with Bedard is he has this potential. He can come in and score 30 goals, get 30 assists. Just a 60-point season on kind of a down year for the Chicago Blackhawks. I do think he's a great player, but overall value when you compare to everyone, I don't know if I'd rank him in the top 50.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say because he hasn't really played a regular season game yet, but he has looked great in this preseason. I think it's definitely the right spot if you're going to put him on this list in the bottom end of that, 50 list. But I do really think that this guy's going to have a good year. He kind of reminds me, if some of you guys are old enough to remember, of Pavel Datsyuk. That's who his preseason game has reminded me of. He reminds me of Pavel Datsyuk with a better shot, which is absolutely ridiculous to say if you know Pavel Datsyuk's game. But I do really think that this guy is a special player. I really hope he has a good year this year, and we're rooting for you Chicago Blackhawks fans. But let us know down below, what are your thoughts on Bedard's play this preseason? What do you think about Foligno's comments about Bedard? Let us know down below. We're going to get into everybody's favorite topic here, which is comment of the day. And the comment of the day today goes to Mark, not the one right beside me. But he says, new to this channel, you guys are great. Keep it up, boys. Shout out to you, Mark. We really appreciate all the support down that comment section below. Shout out to you for giving us your support. We really appreciate it. But if you guys enjoyed this video, go down, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 2,000 subscribers, so we really appreciate it if you went down and hit that subscribe button. And if you guys loved NHL, make sure to check out this video on our early predictions for 100-point players. But I've been KC, alongside my co-host Mark Pye. Keep your stick on the ice.